10 years later, it won a New Zealand Institute of Architects National Award, just a year before John Scott's death. Although Renata and Nathan were only kids when the house was being built, it left quite an impression on them.
Well, I could never, as a kid, work out how that was ever going to be a house, because with a concrete pad of different levels and all this concrete block just coming out of the concrete. And not until it was actually basically finished did I actually realise how it was all coming together.
For builder Richard Kepka, working alongside his dad, it was his first experience building a John Scott house. Many more would follow.
He used to take pieces of normal hardware and reshape them, re-alter them. He definitely was an inventor, and he was a great thinker. And I would say very close to genius. And I personally enjoyed working with him.
You witnessed quite a few changes to the plans as he observed what was going on site?
John, I think, believed that a project like this was an evolving thing. It was an art form, really, to resemble a volcanic eruption, so we're told. But John was definitely a visionary. I remember one occasion when we were digging out the building site and these ferocious winds came, and I mean, they buffeted the place. It was unbelievable. Never been in anything like it in my life. We were sitting in the vehicles were shaking, and just like that, John changed the whole design, the whole location of the house, just in an instant.
And you guys might not have noticed it, but the arc of the house follows the contour of the hill like a sheep track. Yeah. And I think that's why it feels so natural.
And we struggle to set up contracts now which allow for that level of flexibility.
We don't get contracts like that anymore.
The council wouldn't let you build it.
If people came and looked at this house, it's definitely not a scar on the landscape. It lends itself to the landscape rather than annoying the landscape. And that's what I liked about a lot of his buildings. And quite often, I remember one job we were on, he came there and we were doing a final walkthrough, and he looked at me and he said, "Can you be bothered doing this?" And I said, "Well, not really." He said, "Let's go and lie in the grass and have a smoke." So that's what we did, laid in the grass and looked at the sky and chatted. And that's the sort of guy he was, just an absolute treasure.
The magnificent Ngā Mātea home is just part of John Scott's legacy. Like their father, two of his children, Jacob and Emma, chose to stay on the family land in Homoana and build nearby the house their dad had grown up in.
Working alongside Dad, bit of a tough taskmaster?
Yeah, especially when you're kind of left in a void, and like silence isn't confirmation, and so you just got to work till you get affirmation, and with him living next door and me doing the building, he would be over early in the morning sometime, and he'd come over here and he'd just go, "That's not square, that's not quite right." But how the hell did he see that? I'd try and patch it up or tutu it up. But he'd just go straight to the point where you knew there were issues.
A lot of John's got details, but a fair bit of your own stuff in there too.
Yeah, he was adamant that it needed to be our own, and he had that idea for all his clients too, that it needed to be custom specific for them, for their needs. Yep. We learned a hell of a lot.
One of John's later houses was for his daughter Emma and her whānau.
Jake had the fabulous example of working with our dad and learning from him firsthand, and we got the privilege of having him design a house specifically for us on family land. And in that process, I got to know a father, because my experience of growing up, there's a life around us, but our dad, he was totally committed to what he was doing, and long hours into the night. So having this privilege really feels like that. We got to be close.
So this is the house that Dad designed for you?
Yes, we moved in 1989 and we've been living here ever since.
Amazing to see the progression, 1960 house, the Martin house, and then coming in here and seeing a totally different feel, yet very John Scott. Particularly the painted aspect of the
yes.
block, which is something that, you know, obviously he previously was not keen on.
We did debate it.
Yes.
Again, playing with different levels in this house. And you can see the spiral staircase, so there's the other level up above, so there's Poe. Absolutely fantastic. Quite nice to hang off too.
Yeah.
I just love this honey glow that comes from the ceiling and the beams, you know, it gives us, it's a low but an intimate sort of feeling. And Ro, look at this view, it's really great. And the level thing too with the benches. And John Scott knobs. Truly.
He does. He
Truly.
does. They're totally his style.
They are known as John Scott knobs.
They are.
Yes.
Yeah. Over 200 projects were conceptualised, but perhaps it's not so much one building, but the sheer range of his architectural vision that makes John Scott so enduring.
He had this concept that what he was building for too wasn't just for the client. And you're building for generations to come. You know, and your concept of how things are for the moment, you might be the person that's paying for this or commissioning this job, but there are more people that are important you'll be the first occupier. That architectural responsibility was huge.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.